Hello and thank you for watching. This is STSC back again with LEGO Transformers Aries. Last year I celebrated Halloween with my revamp of the classic IX Mark Zodiac. When I first built that trio, Rollout actually told me that he had initially planned to build all 12 of the Zodiac signs as Transformers. Of course, he only ended up building 4 of them. The original 3, Cancer, Taurus, and Pisces, and the 4th extra member, Aries. However, at the time he had intended for Aries to combine with Scorpio and Gemini into a second independent combiner. This Halloween, I decided to finally realize that original concept. And over the next week, I'll be uploading each individual member, leading up to the combined form on Halloween. And of course, it only seemed right to start with Aries, since he's the only one of the 3 that Rollout ever actually built himself. So here he is in his ram form. As you can see, I've used a pair of these curved claw pieces on a handlebar to represent his ram horns. Of course, they aren't super accurate, they really should be more of a continuous curve, but I think it looks accurate enough, and it captures the general look of a ram. I really enjoy the color blocking on this guy. I tried to keep it as crisp as possible, though there is definitely some bleed over. You'll notice here that there's these rounded plates that are in black. They actually do come in dark gray nowadays, but right now they're only in a few sets, and I don't have any of those, and I didn't feel like paying the Bricklink prices. An unfortunate Easter egg of Aries' transformation is that if you lift up his tail, he's got something in there. For articulation in this mode, Aries' head is able to go left and right, as well as up and down. His forward legs can bend forward and back a little bit like this, as well as twist, kind of at the bicep. I'm not actually sure what that would be considered on a ram, but I'm just going to call that the bicep, because that's what it is on a human. Then on the little feet, or the hooves, there is a hinge here, which allows for a little bit of posing, though you're not going to get too much out of this guy. Then at the legs, there is an outward joint and a bit of a forward and back, as well as the same pivot at the hoof. There are more joints here, but I think if you use any of them, they don't look any good, and they're mostly there for transformation. For a size comparison, here we have a minifigure, and here we have his fellow Decepticon, Tyrant. That's about all there is to say about Aries in his ram mode, so now it's time to transform. And here we have Aries in his robot mode, and it's certainly a bit of a weird one. You can see he's got these very lanky arms, and they're mounted a little bit low on the torso. Of course, he has these shoulder pads here to try and make up for that, made out of the folded up front legs of the ram, though it is still a little bit awkward looking. You can also see that the head of the ram is sticking out the back, like kind of a spire out of his backpack. That is kind of a bit of a weird design choice, but I do like where the horns end up, hanging over his head like a set of horns in robot mode as well. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of the Bionicle character Colta, if anyone actually remembers him. Taking a look from behind, you can see he still has a tail and that weird thing from Ram mode. His robot mode legs are just his beast mode legs straightened out to be more bipedal. That is a little bit lazy maybe, but that's how the original transformed and I wanted to retain that. Speaking of the original, this one is actually a pretty major departure from that build. The legs on the original were actually dark gray, and I believe the arms were black, so those have kind of swapped here. He also didn't have the horns in the original form. I believe they hung off the back like wings. But I would think the most important detail that has changed is that the original had a mono eye, kind of like Shockwave. But here I've went for more of a visored look. You could actually swap out this tile for a round one and have it fold up to give him the mono eye, but I decided to keep it simple with the little visor face. For a size comparison, here we have a minifigure, and here we have Tyrant. Aries is a rare situation where I like the alternate mode more than the robot mode. I think the RAM form turned out great, with some really cool shaping to it, while the robot mode is maybe a little bit lacking. I think it's charming as a little gremlin creature, but it's definitely a bit awkward in places. But that's all I have to say for now, so I'll see you next time.